Hi guys, welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. We are carrying on with Until Dawn. We're on episode 3 or chapter 3, Isolation. So Jack and I, as always for this series, we're going to be joined by Anya. So hello Anya.
Hello.
Coming all the way from America. She travelled very far to be here. So yeah.
Yep, I'm here in real life.
We're very honoured. And happy birthday for last week as well. So yeah, there you go. You asked for it. So yeah, guys, we'll just kick straight off. So the first scene we start with is where they get the Ouija board out, the spirit board. So I'm just going to ask a general opinion. I'll start with you, Jack. What did you make of this whole sequence?
Nice little sequence. Something you'd expect in like a typical horror movie. You know, people sat round a table, low lit room, sort of, you know, starting to mess with sort of the supernatural. And I suppose, you know, think about this is clearly part of Josh's plan, right? Because doesn't he encourage them to find the Ouija board in the first place? And I'm guessing that he engineers it this way so that he has an excuse to get pissed off with them and walk off ultimately. But I think looking back when I played this scene, because it does get sort of pretty heavy. I mean, for Josh at the time, you don't know what he's up to. So, but I'm pretty sure like I was probing for information. Like I was trying to, you know, talk to the spirit world and, you know, see if it was Hannah or Beth and, you know, what they wanted.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, which one did you guys speak to? Was it Hannah or Beth? And yeah, I'll start with you.
I think I started with Hannah, just because she was kind of the one that they affected the most.
Yeah, of course. How about you, Jack?
Yeah, it was Hannah for me as well.
Yeah, I think for all of us then, yeah. What I like about this scene as well is that there's a lot of things that are going on, from the stranger with the flamethrower, the mystery man, whatever's running in the woods after Jess and Mike, for example. And it starts throwing around this Hannah and Beth theory angle, which I know a lot of people genuinely did believe. Anya, what did you make of this whole possible spirit angle? And did you ever believe it at any point that Hannah or Beth could be coming back to haunt the group?
I didn't think it was a haunting, really. Or, well, I don't know. Like, I might have thought briefly, like, yeah, maybe there is something going on with them, because, you know, spirit board, it kind of, like, had you hooked for a second that, like, yeah, shit's going on. And even like with the ghost shadow behind Ashley or Chris or whoever, which like Josh put it there, and like who's gonna see it? They weren't looking over there, but it had me going for a little bit. But I think once the end of the chapter happened, I was like, no, yeah, this is definitely like a corporeal thing.
Course, yeah. And how about you, Jack? Did you for one moment believe that the ghost of Hannah and Beth could be behind this?
Nah, not really. In short, basically, I suppose for two reasons. One, I mean, I personally don't believe in all that, and I somewhat anticipate that there was going to be some other explanation, because typically, like, I mean, games do this, but like TV series and movies do this as well. You know, as soon as they reveal their hand for one potential avenue that, you know, a story's going to go down, that usually gets eliminated at a later point so that they can, you know, throw you with something else. So as soon as this whole supernatural element come into it, I was thinking no. And obviously they wanted you to think along those lines, because Dr. Hill, I'm pretty sure, in, you know, sort of the sequence with him previous, he goes on about the supernatural, you know, whether you believe in it and stuff. But yeah, like personally, I was sort of never onto this sort of whole story idea from the get-go.
Yeah, I don't think I ever bought into it, but it's the kind of thing where there was all these different avenues and I was just trying to play the game and not really buying into a theory this early, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and also I just want to take a brief mention that one thing that was quite chilling for me was that, because I think my screen at the time was on quite low brightness, I never saw the silhouette in the background, and my brother pointed out to me, and it was quite chilling for me to find out that there was this silhouette or ghost in the background just completely staring at me. And I never knew from my first playthrough, so it's one of those haunting moments where you realise there was a ghost in the room with you only until afterwards. But yeah, that was a really good scene, I felt. So then we skip over to Mike and Jess, who, are on their 3-day hike towards this cabin. Where they at some point get chased by a bear, which, is interesting. The bear. It's definitely a bear, right? It's got to be that honey badger Wolverine thing, right?
Can it open
Duck
car doors?
nuggets.
Yeah. I really like this scene, and this whole angle with Mike and Jess. I really bought into their playful relationship, the way they're just, playfully teasing each other and that kind of thing. And then there's the scene where there's the deer that has a massive chunk out of it, like ripped. Jack, what did you make when you came to this scene? Did you have any theories building at this point?
No, really. I really did. I think I was more confused because I suppose at this point I was assuming that the stranger was the psycho. I didn't know that it was two separate things. On top of that, wasn't even aware of like the wendigos, although I remember thinking at the time that it would be strange for the the other guy, the guy with the flamethrower, for him to be with sort of weird vision, like whenever he's moving, because obviously when it's the wendigos, there's sort of like this weird sort of vision that they show you. In terms of like what I did with the deer, I'm pretty sure I did get jump scared at this because I started to comfort the deer. Pretty sure at the time I couldn't fathom, just sort of killing the deer and putting it out of its misery. Then of course obviously chaos ensues, doesn't it, and they start legging it from the wendigo.
You know what? Funny story. You talking of jump scares? I don't think I jumped that much this game, but one jump scare that really got me, and it was for external reasons as well. Really, is there's the scene where when Jess goes missing right at the start of this, and you're trying to find her. You know that bit where you peek through the car window, trying to look through the car?
Oh yeah.
And there's the skull that comes up. So essentially, I was leaning against my back wall, and I had a poster behind me, and it came off the blue tack, but only by the top bit. So the top bit fell and completely wrapped over my face. So I was looking at the screen, and I got a really close quarter jump scare. So I sort of removed it from my face as the tense scene built, and then the skull came, so I jumped a second time because it caught me off guard. And then my cat, who loves horror games, decided to jump at me as well. So I got 3 jump scares in one, and it is just the worst thing ever. It wasn't supposed to be that much of a jump scare, but it still got me because of all those reasons. I hated it so much. So then we get to the cabin scene with Mike and Jess. Guys, the most important question of the game. How naked did we get Jess? I'll start with you, Anya, being such a Jess fan.
The first time around, I got her to, I think, just her t-shirt and jeans. But I think that's where I started liking her more as well, because I was able to get that scene where she, reveals her insecurities. And I was like, okay, girl, I see you, I feel it. And then, I know, because I do like her a lot, and, other playthroughs that I've done, I didn't want to, be mean to her, but I also didn't want her to be cold when she was outside.
Yeah, of course, I understand. And how about yourself, Jack?
Complete opposite. Yeah, I after that long walk, I think everyone needed a little bit of respite. I would have sort of wanted to see how far the game would go in that sort of department. So yeah, I hit seduce, and she was sort of down to her underwear, if I remember rightly.
A little bit spicy.
Also, by the way, this is something that I'm still confused by to this day. You know the phone gets thrown into the cabin.
Yeah.
Did the Wendigo throw that in? And also, I find it a little bit of luck, 'cause the Wendigo's peering in while they're going at it, and I'm like, this Wendigo is a bit of a perv, to be honest.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, I've heard people say that the stranger threw the phone in there just to kind of distract them away from, or either distract Mike and Jess away from like that window, or distract the Wendigo. I'm not sure, but I've heard people think that it was him that did that.
It's an interesting one, actually. It is a very good question, because if you think about it, you've got the infrared vision, right? So that shows it's wendigos. So like you say, it's got to be wendigos looking through. But then again, it's not a wendigo characteristic to grab a phone or nick it from Jess in the first place and throw it for a phone. And the stranger's trying to help them and warn them to get off the mountain, right? So I don't really see I think if he wanted to do that, he'd knock on the door and be like, "Excuse me." He wouldn't like just chuck a phone through a window.
Yeah, why not just be like, "Hey, you gotta go."
Exactly. So I do think, there are a few plot holes and flaws in this game, and I very much think that is one of them. Because it can't be Josh, right? Like, if you had to guess someone who it would be, characteristic-wise, you would say Josh to fuck about with them. But he's not there at the time because he's currently fucking about with Chris and Ashley, surely.
And it takes like a million years to get up to the cabin, so it's not
exactly. Yeah.
Unless he has like a little like snowmobile that he just rides up there.
Josh on a snowmobile. So Rami Malek through the snow. Yeah.
What did you do, mate? Did you seduce Jess?
I think I got halfway. I got her through her shirt. Just like in real life. I can't go the whole way, guys. What are you talking about, Jeff? It's me we're on about here. Yeah, but I actually really like this scene. I think, like I said before, it shows depth with Jess, and we spoke before in another episode about Jess versus Emily, and I think it's why I slightly lean towards Jess. I mean, you could argue that Emily has depth, but to me, Jess just has, quite a lot more, in my opinion. Like the insecurity side, like you said, and also she gets the epic comeback, which we'll cover later.
By the way, I forgot to mention, sort of in the run-up to that bit at the cabin, there's this whole segment there, because in the previous chapter, you've got this cliffhanger where like, Jess screams and like Mike's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And obviously it ends up being a prank, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And he says to her, he's like, "You can't just jump out at someone in the middle of the woods." I'm like, mate, like in chapter 1, you're jumping out on Emily and Matt.
You did do that, yeah.
What's this guy talking? So, but I've got to admit though that later on you come across this little shack, don't you? And you find a mask in there, and there's an opportunity. It says, do you want to get sweet revenge on Jess? I was straight in there getting sweet revenge. I thought it was hilarious.
Fucking dunk her in the river.
If you're gonna pull that on me, I was just get like, I can't remember if there was a line afterwards where she's like, she has to take the jeans off because she got dunked in the river. I can't remember, but all the same, I was thinking I'm gonna get my own back here. Did you guys do that, or was you more nice?
No, I was nice. I was like, I picked check out this sweet mask, and she's like, "That's fucking gross." I'm like. But I didn't want to be like mean.
Yeah. You know what? Story of my life, because I'm pretty sure if you jump scare her, she hates you more, and it actually hinders your chances of seduction. Jack, you're a fucking alpha if you not only scared her and annoyed her, but you still got her out of her clothes. Well, like for me, I'm a nice guy and I didn't get that.
I'm a nice guy.
Got all the lines, baby.
Fucking incel.
Yeah, I hate you Supermassive Games so much. Also, you mentioned the scream before. I just want to note as well, is that the same scream from the DLC that Jess does that Matt and Emily hear on the other side of the woods?
I think that's what we thought, right?
Because
I think they're at overlapping times at this point.
Yeah, just a thought, but I think it might be. So we go back to Chris and Ashley in the library, and we get our first reveal of the masked man. So did we very much get surprised when we saw that? Like, what were our thoughts at this point? I'll start with you, Anya.
Yeah, I remember when we first went back to them. It was right after Jess pops off, yells we're gonna have sex, and then gets fucking dragged off. And I was like, wait, hold up, take me back here. I want to know what just happened to my girl. But then they do their thing in the library, and then it's interesting to see how things start popping off at the same time, really. It's like there's a guy here at the lodge. There's something up there that just took Jess at the cabin. So I'm just like, okay, what's going on here? How many threats do we have? But yeah.
Essentially, yeah. And yeah, good point. I did forget that very key scene where Jess gets dragged out the window.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you can see clearly by the arms that grab Jess, it's not human. They're like little twiggy stick figures almost, like, you know, they're Wendigo arms basically.
Oh, man.
Which also kind of like defeats the point you mentioned. If it is the stranger that threw the phone through the window, like he would have just been there. Like, how is he not fighting with flamethrowers outside while like Mike's trying to seduce Jess?
Or like Jess is just screaming outside. Why is he not just like running out like, no, stop that.
Yeah, exactly.
But her whole speech, absolutely iconic. It lives in my...
But yeah, so yeah, I guess we'll fast forward. Jack, what did you think of the masked man?
Very surprised at the reveal. It was a nice touch as well, because this particular bit, it really tapped into, I suppose, the inner child in me. You've got like this whole bit, and you know, where they go to the library and they find this secret passage, and they pick a couple of things up, and of course, yeah, they run into like this psycho guy, and you immediately see him. And at the time, I didn't know if like, because is it me, or does it look like a sort of like a clown mask to you?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure I picked like clowns in one of the Dr. Hill choices, and I was thinking, I wonder if I picked the scarecrow, like whether he'd be wearing like a scarecrow mask. But anyway, that's by the by.
You know what I really like about the library scene?
Yeah.
How you like play Ashley for literally 2 seconds, and then she's just like, yeah, nope, not going in there, and she just like passes it on to Chris.
I never noticed that. Really?
Yeah, it's a very seamless like character transition, which I kind of like. I don't think there's like another good like example of just like the seamless like changing character control. I kind of hope like the Corey might have something like that where you just like cycle through characters better, because I know like Dark Pictures does it a couple times with their intense like close-ups of their character and telling you who you're gonna be now. But
yeah, I was gonna say, this library scene would have been horrible in movie night mode then. If you were playing as Ashley, you're like, yes, I finally get to play. Oh, here's the controller back.
You just played as her in the fucking seance.
Yeah.
Seance.
Yeah, true. But yeah, okay. So yeah, to be honest, the point you mentioned about the masked man having the clown thing, I think I picked something else, maybe zombie, and yeah, so I was about to be clown, but that might be a really cool feature if he switches depending on what you chose. And so the whole chapter ends with another Dr. Hill session, and you can really see these sessions coming to fruition with your choices, because I'm pretty sure I said I was scared of spiders, and when you go in the library in the little hidden hole, there's a point where there's like almost, it looks like it's through like a Resident Evil like CCTV camera, and there's like a spider that crawls over it in my playthrough.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that.
And I clocked on this because I chose spiders that I was scared of, and it, you know, I just really like those little neat touches, and it shows just how cool this game is that you get moments like that. But yeah, we'll end it on the therapy session. So this is probably one of the best therapy session choices you get. It asks you about the characters, which ones you which one of the 8 is your least favorite, and we'll probably do another episode where we talk more about our character tiers. So we'll keep this brief, and we'll keep it to who our least favorite was. But I'll start with Anya. Who did you pick as your least favorite here?
My bottom 2 at this point was Mike and Ashley, and then I ended up choosing that I disliked Ashley the most, which is funny because at this point she hadn't really done anything yet that would like make me annoyed by her. But I don't know, that's just how it was. I liked everyone else more at that point.
Yeah, I mean, if your argument with Ashley is that you just didn't know her well enough when you did the others, I had a very similar feeling with Matt actually, because we've met Matt like twice if you've got the DLC or whatever it is. So there's just not much going on with Matt as of yet. Him and Emily get scenes later on, really. So I was tempted to pick him. But for me, personally, I picked Emily. So I know that's going to make Anya over there crease a little bit. But I guess I just thought she was like the rudest character, I guess. Just the least enjoyable person there. How about yourself, Jack?
Yeah, you're gonna have to crease some more because I had Jess and Emily at the bottom. But what I would say is like, what I would say about Emily, just I'll defend Anya for a second here, but like, she is quite clearly the rudest character. But what I would say is that it probably would be a bit more of a boring story without her. Because, when you go into a story, if all the characters were nice, if all the characters were Ashleys, then you wouldn't get conflict on camera. And who wants to see that? So, yeah, she's my least favourite because in real life, out of all of them, she would be the one that I'd least want to hang around. But I think she does serve a role in the story.
Yeah, she's entertaining. And I'm just always kind of drawn to the bitch characters, no matter what it is. There's just something about them that I fucking love.
I don't know, I guess for Emily, yeah, like, I didn't exactly hate anyone. It does make you think, though, this is a group of 8 people who are going out their way to hang out on a mountain together. You'd think these guys would want to get on. I'd only go to this trip if I really liked the 7 other people. But to instantly fight with each other within the first, it almost just makes the dynamic of the group questionable. But I do agree with Jack, you do need it to somewhat progress the story, make it a little entertaining. You just couldn't have 8 Ashleys, in a room. That'd just be a boring story.
8 Sams just each taking a bath.
Yeah, 8 Sams just fighting over one bath. Alright, okay.
Conflict.
That's yeah. Anyway, so are you guys happy to wrap the episode up there?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching. So like we say, if you guys are really excited for the quarry, just, stay tuned for this. So you've got, something else to, stick your teeth into before you play that game. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much, guys.
Bye.